Okay, so today is Trip's last lesson. He started probably about 5 or 6 weeks ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when he came in, he wanted to take guitar lessons. He'd been playing a little bit. Last year was his first year of college. And when he contacted me, he could play chords, but he was having some trouble transitioning between chords. So we worked on that, and then we also started some fingerstyle technique as well. And in our conversations, because we had a limited amount of time, I was asking him what he wanted to work on this summer. And so the transitions, some new techniques like the fingerstyle approach, and then he kind of casually talked about how he was interested in writing songs. And when I asked him about it, he said, "Oh, I'll do that maybe next year when I get better at guitar." So Trip, I think, is a really good example of someone that has a lot of passion for music, and sometimes we get in the mindset that, oh, well, I'm not ready for that yet. So I kind of challenged him a little bit and said, well, why wait a year? Why not start now? So he was game for it, and we talked about the components of songwriting, and then I just had him start goofing around with writing some chord progressions and some lyrics, and then we started putting them together, and within a week and a half, he had written 4 songs. So, and in that process, we talked about structure and how to set up sections with melody and really just all the components, and he just kept working and moving forward, and now he's written a handful of songs. He just came in with a new one today that we were talking about a bridge, and how does a bridge function, and how do you set it up, and what happens, what are the options in the melody and the chords. And so a lot of that has been the focus of what we've done in songwriting, and he's really done a lot of work, and he has probably 4 or 5 finished songs,
Mm-hmm.
and then another probably half dozen that are kind of scattered or half finished that he has ideas for. But now going back to school, he has the skills to develop those ideas and finish them. So it was a really fun process and rewarding for me to see him take it and go with it and complete so many songs so quickly when he was going to wait a whole year to do it. Now he's got a whole year this year where he can write songs and do a bunch of stuff. So is there anything that you want to talk about the process for you, or how it happened, or how it felt while you were in the middle of it? Or
I'd always kind of like the idea of songwriting, I guess, just like kind of having these rhymes in my head and stuff like that, but I never really knew how to put it to the guitar since I self-taught myself just kind of the chords and stuff last year. So just coming to Shane, he really taught me like the theory kind of behind the music, and then how to apply that to the chords, like what sounded right, the transitions, and just being able to understand music better to where I'd be able to write and play my own songs. So it's really been a great process, even just like these past few weeks, really.
Yeah, and that's interesting too, because one of the things that Trip had is he would have a melody, and I would show him, because I'm really careful not to write people's songs for them, but to show them, especially when they kind of feel a little stuck or retreat a little, hey, here are some options. You could go to this chord, you could go to this chord, or here's what the melody could do. So then things open up instead of kind of, closing down. And he really responded to it, and he explored options melodically, different chord progressions. I know there were times too where he had a section that after you had explored what you had written before, when you came to that section, before I even said anything, you're like, well, that's not working. So you had an intuitive sense that, hey, something different needs to happen here. But you knew that you had options there instead of just feeling like it was a dead end, and so you would explore around some more.
Yeah, and Shane definitely helped me. He wouldn't just tell me what to do. He'd help me think for myself, and in that going off to college, I'll definitely be able to with more ease be able to write more and make more songs.
Yeah, It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's really exciting.
Mm.
And you did a really great job this summer. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of willingness to just go with it. And I think you've been able to see the rewards of doing that, because I know when you came in with those first 2 songs, you were almost kind of surprised that, like, hey, I wrote, and that was the first week that you came in.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think is really important for all of us and for people that are interested in playing guitar and writing songs is to realize that it is a process, and that's a big part of my teaching method is how do you get in the process and how do you stay in the process? Because if you get ahead of yourself and you start worrying about, oh, what are people going to think, or what's the song going to sound like, or maybe it's this, or maybe it's that, how am I going to record it, how am I going to play it, all those criticisms and those judgments will cause you to shut down instead of staying present and writing. And I think that you were able to do that pretty effectively, and in a lot of ways better than a lot of people, and more consistently, because you just went with it.
Yeah.
And that's really what it takes to do it, and to be able to complete songs, and it's the same process for Bob Dylan and Ryan Adams, and that's what the Beatles did. That's the process. A lot of people hear the end result, and what they don't get or understand is the process it took to get there, to take this initial germ idea and try to develop it.
Yeah.
So.
And Shane would really help me, just like, I'd kind of just jot down ideas, and then he'd kind of help me like sort them out and like push through to where like it starts sounding more and more like a song. And
well, and the one song you had too, that's you did you had written a song that had 2 verses, and we approached it kind of like a creative writing exercise where it's like, well, just for fun, write 3 or 4 more verses, and you ended up writing these verses that became part of the song. But before, you just had those 2, and then you were kind of ready to think, well, is it done? I don't know. But and writing those extra verses led you, I think, to a different chorus in that song. I can't remember, but
I think I switched the chorus with like one of the actual verses.
Lyrically,
the
lyrics.
And it just like helped it flow better.
Yeah. You did it really well. You got a lot done in a short amount of time. So thanks for talking about it and sharing the process. So.
Shane will definitely help out a lot.
All right, have a good year.
Thanks, you too.